What's up, guys?
What can you tell us about Adrian Martinez? I know you had Adrian with the Jets last year, now he's here. What's the story with Adrian?
Big fan of Adrian's. He's first and foremost, a really good person. He's got a live arm. He's athletic, and he's young in the game, and he's a willing learner. But he's a good player.
He seemed to have some effectiveness rushing from the inside and in the opener. What do you see from him and how he can contribute even with limited snaps at this point?
Yeah, he's as he gets comfortable, obviously coming back from injury will increase his reps. But one thing he can do, he's versatile in that he can play outside and inside. I do think he's very powerful as a pass rusher, but he also has great feet and athleticism to capture an edge. And you kind of saw it. I mean, for a guy who hasn't had really any practice reps or game reps, he went out there and I thought he did really well. So looking forward to seeing how he progresses over the course of the year.
How would you assess Mikel's first game? He didn't exactly light up the stat sheet, but he was on the field a lot.
Yeah, he was. There's a lot of things he's got to clean up. There's, when you get into an NFL game plan and it's going pretty quick, there's a lot of assignments, alignments for those guys where, they're not just we're not just lining up in the same spot like in years past. There's different things that we're asking him to do, which is a lot for a rookie. And when his feet are in the ground and he knows what to do, he looks really good, and he'll come along. He'll come along just fine. But he on the 40-yard play, got it. You talk about inches on the 40-yard play to at the end of the game. He's about to end it, and that center for Seattle, I think, makes an unbelievable play to save it. But Mikel is he's free off the pick, and he's about to end the game. But so he did a lot of really good things. But there's obviously some things he's got to clean up.
Like him more from the inside or from the outside? Do you like what he's been doing from the inside more or the outside?
It's going to be a work in progress for both. He's gonna make his living, at least while we're here, being a first and second down run defender on the outside and then rushing the passer on the inside. And we think he can rush the passer outside too, but we also think that he can be an elite interior pass rusher, which is very hard to find. Those guys are rare, even more rare than an edge guy. So he's got great versatility to him. And when you ask guys to go inside out, it does take them probably a little bit more time. Especially when you think of our philosophy, we try to get guys doing one thing and doing it really, really well. He's in a position, and his greatest gift is his greatest curse in terms of his versatility. And we're trying to make sure that we balance it enough so that way he can maximize who he is.
When you consider the Seahawks game, in all three phases, defense did well. Compared to all three phases, defense did well against the Seattle Seahawks. But then you talk to the players, and they're all saying, well, we got a lot to clean up. We have a lot of mistakes that we made that we got to clean up going into the next week. As specific as you can allow, what are some jumps or some improvement that you are looking forward to seeing, even if you can get specific with the player that you're looking forward to seeing it out of in this next week?
Well, you always want to be clean. We gave up 5 explosive plays. And you're never going to, I shouldn't say never, but you're trying to strive to keep it to a minimum. You want to make sure that your assignments are always 100%. The things you've got control over. It is the NFL. You're going to miss a tackle. You're going to lose a one-on-one. That's going to happen. But you never want it to be because you weren't 100% in your technique. You weren't 100% in your effort. You weren't 100% in your intent and violence. So there's that stuff that we have to clean up, and if we can continue to do that, there are mistakes out there that we didn't get caught on, and I think that's what they're alluding. That's what they're alluding to. There's things that you look at on tape, and to the naked eye, no big deal, but to us, it could be taken advantage of by a good offensive coordinator who sees the space that certain techniques are creating.
How did Bosa play up before the final grand finale?
I thought he was outstanding. I get the sacks and all that stuff, but he was rushing with great power. His run defense was on point, played smart, and I thought he was awesome.
And can you quantify how big of that final play was by him and how it kind of defines who he is?
Well, I think I've talked to you guys about it before. Like they're closers, guys like him, Bryce Huff. They're closers. They, I joke about it, but it's also part truth in that even in baseball, you got this guy who comes in and closes the ninth inning, and he plays once every 30 games, and he's asked to close a game, and he gets paid a junk ton of money to do it. That's that guy. You're in the fourth quarter. Every game's going to come down to one score, and you need somebody to close the game. That's where those interior edge rushers and interior pass rushers come into play.
You have to kind of reinforce that with him going into the season at all?
No, he's wise beyond his years.
What's the key to defending the screen pass? It seemed like you guys identified it and attacked it pretty aggressively.
Effort. It's 11 heads to the ball. It's setting edges on the outside and 11 heads running to the football. It's not one guy that defends the screen. It's the entire defense. And so we always talk about defending screen is about effort. It's as simple as that.
Assessment of the Saints offense.
It's a we've played Kellen before. Got experience with him in the past, both here, the Jets, all that good stuff. He's a damn good coordinator, a very, very good play caller. They showed a variety of stuff. They're not just going to sit back and be a vanilla offense. They're going to give you multiple personnel groupings. They're going to jump in and out of tempo. They're going to give you some wonky looks. They're going to make you work on a lot of things, and they've got the personnel to do it. Alvin Kamara is one of the better backs in the league. Their O-line is very talented. The receivers are as fast as we've seen up to date. And this quarterback, I'm telling you, he's going to be a household by the end of the year. This kid's pretty good. So he's a twitchy athlete. He's got a hell of an arm. He's very decisive in his decision making as he goes through his progression, and he's accurate with the football. So they gave Arizona everything they could handle. So.
You guys won the time of possession in this first game by 16 minutes. How important is for your young defense to play complementary football early in the year?
I think when you it's a great observation. The offense was outstanding on Sunday. That Seattle defense is a bear. They're going to be a bear all season, and our offense was able to just churn out time. And I've always said that the best defenses in the world are the ones that are on the sideline watching. And our offense was precise. They're in favorable situations. They were converting on third down, running the heck out of the football. Just it was cool to watch on the sideline. It was awesome.
Last week that we were talking about the game slowing down for rookies, and you joked, well, let's see week one. That's when it's really going to speed up. So how did Siegel and Stout do in that regard?
They were good. I thought they did nice jobs attacking Stout and giving him some things that you can prepare for. But until the speed of week one happens, there's just little things that he'll be even better on. And Siegel, I thought, did a really nice job. There's things that he can clean up. He was in certain positions that could have left him vulnerable, but thankfully he came out unscathed. So, I thought overall all the rookies did a nice job for their first game, and the key for them is to continue growing.
Robert, Bosa said you were nervous before that game. I assume you might be nervous before each game, but there was a different level of anxiety. Is that true? And is it just because of kind of the unknown of what that was going to look like?
I'll tell you guys a funny story. So on Monday night, I had a dream that Seattle scored 37 points. It's a nightmare. And I told Gus about it, and he goes, man, only 37? That's pretty good. By Friday, it gets down to about, you keep going down. So, yeah, if you have a conversation with me in the beginning of the week, I'm scared to death. As of now, I think we're going to give up 50. So, but that's just the way we're all wired. Well, at least I'm wired. I'm scared to death, and I need to prepare as good as I can to calm my nerves on Sunday.
Was it junk ton? Was that what you said? Junk ton of money?
Oh, junk ton. Junk. A better word than saying the S word for you guys. You good? All right. Appreciate you guys.
Good. Ready to roll. Just the impression's been of Mac since he's been here, and what's kind of his state of readiness if indeed he has to go this week?
Yeah, he's been really impressive since he walked in the door. Just the way he's kind of first been open to the coaching and open to learning what we do here and the way we coach quarterbacks, bought in from day one. And you've seen the growth. You saw it in OTAs and then in camp. He had a great camp. And if we need him to play, he's going to be ready. And he's done everything we want him to do. And if Matt gets an opportunity at some point, then I'm excited to watch him play.
He's talked a couple times about just like the need to kind of rebuild his confidence, just in terms of feeling free to cut it loose when you see something and trusting it. Have you seen growth in that regard just over the last 6 months?
Yeah, I don't have anything to compare it to because I wasn't coaching him, but I do see growth from OTAs to training camp to now. You saw a guy who was learning in OTAs, and then a guy who was more confident in camp, and a guy who's fully confident right now. So, his sort of trajectory has been great.
Expectations for Ricky this year were high for him to make a second-year leap. His performance in Week 1 seemed to validate that to some extent. What have you seen from Ricky and just the strides that he's made?
Yeah, the offseason he had, obviously he had some setbacks, but the training camp he had really, and the way he was able to stack days, stack weeks, put together practice after practice and get better. It paid off on Sunday. I think I told Ricky, you're ready to play. You're ready to go out there and make plays, and he did. And now, okay, what's the next challenge? Get a new game plan, go against a new team, and do it again. And that's what he's got to keep doing. So,
you said there was a lot of timing that he had to figure out with Brock from year 1 to year 2. Now with Mac stepping in, how much of an adjustment is that for a receiver to try to kind of get on the same page in one?
It's probably a little. I'm sure there's some. I think the timing adjustment is more just learning our route tree and learning with whoever the quarterback is, learning the timing of our routes, and whether it's Brock or Mac or anyone. That's there's a growth kind of period to that, and he's still growing, and I think he's definitely more comfortable. So, sure, the quarterback maybe changes it, but I think no matter who's throwing him the ball, he's in a pretty good position right now with all that stuff.
What do you think of Watkins? What did you think of him this summer? Is he ready to roll this week?
Yeah, we'll see. He's coming off the injury, and he's gotten to practice. I think he practiced once last week, and he's gotten 2 good days in. And so for him, it's about just continuing to put good practices together, and depending on kind of how our room shapes out for game day, whether he gets an op or not. But he's been doing a good job, and we expect him to keep getting better and contribute if he has to play. So.
Only been a couple days, but how has Kendrick Bourne looked, and where do you see him fitting into that group?
He looks good. It's new right now to him. He was here in this scheme before I was here, so there's learning. And with any new player, but he's an NFL receiver. He's a big, physical, strong guy. Got great hands, and he works, and he's got a great passion for football. And so there's a growth period there. He's got to keep getting reps and keep seeing things, but again, we'll kind of see how it shapes out for Sunday.
What do you see from Brandon Staley's defense in New Orleans? What makes him tough to face?
Just the way he coaches, fundamentals, the techniques of his scheme is as good as anybody. His guys play extremely fundamentally sound and extremely hard. He does a great job of mixing stuff up. He's not a guy that you really can predict things from a drive to drive, so he kind of keeps you on your toes. He's a super smart coach. He puts his players in a position to play fast, and he's just going to keep you guessing, keep you on your toes as a play caller. And so, he's being around him for a year. He just learned a lot from him, and it's going to be a challenge for sure.
What do you got, when you don't have George out there? Just how do you make up for what he brings, and just how do you approach filling that void?
You don't make up for losing a player like that. George has been playing at a high level, but you eventually have to get to a point where you move on and you say, okay, what do we have, and what position are we gonna put these guys in that we have now? And so it's not about replacing George, it's about guys stepping up and playing good football. That's just how I see it.
For people who weren't familiar with Jake Tonjes before he made that catch, what makes him good? What makes him an NFL player? What's his skill set?
Yeah, Jake's got great hands, and he's got a route running skill set. For a tight end, he can stretch the field vertical. He's got good speed, but to me, it's his hands. And you saw it in the preseason. He made some really good plays for us in the preseason. So he's he's got the receiving skill set, and we've been developing him as a blocker, and he's gotten better. And so he's been cool to see kind of grow as a player over these past couple of years.
Were you surprised at all that Seattle stayed with their nickel, and when you guys went to 12 and 21 personnel, that seemed like they stayed with the nickel? Were you expecting that?
Yeah, that's kind of what they do. You know, they do play base, but they're primarily a nickel defense. You know, and 21 Witherspoon's, I think, one of the best defensive players in the league. And so them having him on the field in that position, it makes sense. You know, he's a really good player. So, but we were ready for that.
In perspective, that touchdown to Tonjes, what's kind of going through your mind as the play is happening? And
it's like slow motion. You know, you see Brock kind of moving around and buying time, and you're just hoping to see someone pop, and nobody really popped, and Brock threw it up and threw the perfect ball. So it was, it was really cool.
One of those kind of no, yes type of things.
Yeah, a little bit of that. But that's guys need to make plays to win games, and we did. So.
What's your philosophy on 50-50 balls? Because, I mean, you got to throw them, right? You want your guy to throw some of them, but you got to take care of the balls. Do you have a philosophy on it? Does Kyle?
Yeah, you got to give guys ops to make plays, and that's really it. And guys, when they can't make a play, they got to try to make sure the defender doesn't make the play. And so that's really what it comes down to.
You had McCaffrey out there, I think 58 snaps. Was there one snap in particular that jumped out at you?
Yeah. There's always little things with Christian that people don't really notice, but for me, I always look at like the runs where, it's maybe a bad look or they blitz or it's just not the best run look, but Christian finds a way to get 5 yards. So now instead of 2nd and 9, you're in 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 6, and those make a huge difference in a drive. We say the runs that are blocked for 2 that get 4 or 5, and Christian is very consistent at that. So those are the things I see about him. He's a guy who he grinds and he makes things right for us. So.
Was the plan to give him? Oh, go ahead.
Actually, I was going to ask what Nick asked, so it got answered. Thank you.
Was the plan to give Christian the ball as much as you did? Is the plan to give him the ball as much as you need to win?
It's a fluid thing, I mean, yeah, we've talked about this in the offseason. Yeah, you'd love to find ways to give Christian a blow, but Christian doesn't like coming off the field. And you're in the heat of battle, and Christian's making plays for us, and so it's just kind of situational the way that happens. And Brian's going to continue to get more reps because he's coming along and still learning the offense and getting better. So I just think it'll be an evolving thing as we go through the year.
The Saints ran a lot of 5-2 base on last week. What kind of challenges does that present trying to run the ball between the tackles?
Just a lot of big bodies up front, and they have very physical edge setters, and they got big guys inside, and they got 2 really good inside linebackers. And so when you put those 7 guys down there in the middle, it's tough to move them, and so it presents a huge challenge, and that's what we're getting ready for.
What are you seeing from Jordan James in practice? How close is he to maybe contributing?
Yeah, we'll see what kind of happens for game day, but Jordan's been practicing really well. I think there's a natural kind of needing to get back into football shape after missing time, but he's been back out there. He looks good to me. It's like anyone else who misses time. They need reps. They need to get back into it and kind of see where they're at. So
circling back to that conversation you had with Ricky leading into the Seattle game, how much of him taking this next step is at this stage more mental and kind of having that confidence that he can be the guy? I mean, he talked about Hank, putting those expectations on him and challenging him in that way.
Yeah, I think any player is just confidence. It's just repetition. It's just going out there and doing it consistently. And when you can do it consistently, you got to believe that you can do it on game day. And that's kind of where he's at. And so I think that's the same for all players, really.
Is there a trophy for the Kubiak Bowl? I mean,
no trophy. It's one game. They're on to their season. We're continuing with ours. It's moving on. But it was cool to see my brother last weekend, though. That was nice.
What have been your impressions of Adrian Martinez so far?
It's been really cool to see him get some reps in the scout team. He's a guy who, to me, looks real comfortable. He's a good athlete. He throws the ball well. And, we don't know a ton about him just because he's kind of new here. But from what we've seen, I've been impressed. Cool. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.